Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun, and this is a video we're both really, really excited to do. And this is one we did not expect at all to be doing a handful of days ago. Let's make that clear.
No, listen, so much Dexter news has come out, and if you've been with us for a while, we love Dexter. If
Yeah,
you're new to the channel, we love Dexter. Like, has it been a perfect show? No, of course not. And I think all of us in the fandom can be fans enough to admit that they have had some
yeah.
problems with the show. But overall, the journey of Dexter, especially the original, I mean, even New Blood, it had some problems, but the journey was good. Like, the journey's just so good that
Yeah.
when it was like announced that we were going to have this origin story, original sin, and then they started casting it with like Patrick Dempsey. I was like, oh my God, I am so in. And then it was like Michael C. Hall is going to be like doing some narration in it. I'm like, okay, cool. So he's going to be involved. Then they just like dropped it on everyone and was like, Dexter Resurrection, Michael C. Hall, he is back. I'm like, what is happening here? I don't even care how you bring him back. Just, I'm here for it. It's fine.
I lost my mind when they revealed this at Comic-Con because it just felt impossible. And for a little while, I was sort of reconciling this idea of, okay, they're calling it resurrection. They're going to find some loophole where it's like, okay, we've resurrected Dexter so that he's just with Harrison on Harrison's journey and he's not actually going to be alive. But now that we've done some digging for this video, we've
Mhm.
looked at some stuff that Michael C. Hall had to say to Variety. We've
Yeah.
kind of analyzed a lot of the press releases. We're going to talk about Original Sin, but we're also going to talk a lot here at the start about everything we know about Resurrection.
Mhm.
I actually don't think that Dexter is dead, which does excite me. I'm sure I'm also nervous, but that's a part of being a fan of this world.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that and how his journey had ended in New Blood and how he could still be alive.
Okay, well, before we get into any of this further, hit that subscribe button because, Original Sin is coming in December. It
Yep.
seems like Resurrection is coming next summer.
Mhm.
We're going to have coverage of both of these shows here. We don't want you to miss any of our reviews, preview theory, all that sort of good stuff.
Also, if you want to help support our channel further, you
Mhm.
can follow us on Patreon for $5 a month. You can help support us
Yeah.
to be able to also vote in polls on other things that we cover here as well. And also, we have some other crime shows
Mhm.
that we are covering over there right now. We have Criminal Minds, we have Evil, we
Mhm.
have a bunch of other ones coming up throughout the fall and the winter. So, thank you so much to everyone who has.
Thank you guys.
Let's talk quickly first about the ending of Dexter New Blood.
Yeah.
When we last saw Dexter, Harrison had shot him. He fell to the ground and there was blood coming out of him. And we
Yeah.
all were like, okay, he's dead.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was where we were supposed to end up, where we
Yeah.
thought that he was dead. Now that there's this possibility that he's not dead, I've gone back and watched this an unhealthy amount of times to
Okay.
kind of be like, how could he get out of this? And if they're going to be picking it up pretty much right where it ended, which it sounds like they are,
Yeah.
then he can still be alive. Somebody could easily have come and found him. Like, if he's out there for too long, he might end up getting hypothermia and dying. Like, yeah, absolutely, that can happen. He's bleeding out. Sure, loss of blood, that could happen.
Yeah.
But also, cold can bring down your body temperature and you can end up comatose as well. And he could end up coming out of that. I think if it's quick enough after he's been shot and somebody's just like do through the forest, oh look, it's Dexter, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, 911, hello, can you come get him? He'll be fine.
I want to present a couple of quotes here because I think some of this is interesting and it kind of gets into this idea of how did we get here in the first place. So,
Yes.
back when New Blood first ended, Clyde Phillips, executive producer of this world, he said the following to Deadline. I have 3 words for you. Dexter is dead. Here, there is no question that this is the finale of Dexter, period. Dexter is dead, period.
Right.
Now, Michael C. Hall,
That was a year ago.
yeah, it was a while ago. Things can't change. He was asked, of course, by Variety at Comic-Con, okay, well, what's going on here? Dexter is dead. How is this possible? Here is what he said verbatim. It was really cold out there, which goes into exactly what you were just saying, that
Yeah.
maybe that does lower your body temperature.
Yep.
Here's the grand tinfoil hat. It's what is
All right.
actually going on here and
Let's
how
get
this
these
show.
tinfoil hats on.
This is why we're getting Dexter Resurrection.
Yeah.
So,
Money.
lots of money. Past season of Dexter, a lot of them have come up on Netflix, and it's really popular on Netflix. No
Yeah.
surprise there. New generations of fans are getting into it.
Mhm.
Showtime and Paramount Plus have become sort of this like blobbish thing now, where it's Paramount Plus with Showtime or whatever they're calling it, whatever nonsense. Now, because of what has happened with the millions of shows from Taylor Sheridan, in particular, the Yellowstone universe, 1883, 1923.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus is like, let's just do that with everything else now. So we're just going to make as many franchises as possible. It's why we have like some billions spinoffs in the works. It's why we got Dexter Original Sin in the first place. And I think ultimately they were just like, here, Michael C. Hall, have some money. Think of all the donuts you can buy everybody with this money. And he looked at the money and was basically like, okay. Yeah, I mean, he did say he didn't make this return lightly, and that they decided through some conversations that there was more to explore. And I do believe that is the case. I don't think he necessarily just is out to desecrate this character, but at the same time, the ending of the original Dexter sucked. The ending of New Blood sucked. It's just sort of like, why do we have to end this? I'm fine with shows continuing a really long time.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, Michael C. Hall may have sat back and been like, the original ending of Dexter sucked.
Yeah.
And then we came for this New Blood, and that ending also sucked.
Yeah.
So why not bring it back until they can get a finale that actually works out? Like, it has to end eventually. We're not going to have Dexter season 52. We're not Survivor over here. But like, they can eventually get to a proper ending where people are like, okay, this makes sense. This feels right. This is fine.
Yeah. And I will say this is one of my bigger complaints I have about people in the TV industry in general now, are all of these people that are sort of like, oh, X show should end when it's only 4 seasons in or something like that. I've even seen people that are like, oh, The Bear should have ended in season 3. It's just like, no, stop this with this stuff. Like, don't yuck other people's yums when it comes to long-running shows. And there's something great about being able to settle into a world and its characters and kind of be immersed in it. And this is one of the good things about what Michael has said about Resurrection here, in addition to, you mentioned earlier, this is going to pick up seemingly shortly after New Blood, but also this could be an ongoing series, at least based on how he talked about it. This is not being hit with some limited series label like New Blood was. So there's a chance that this could be, a 2-season show, a 3-season show, or something even bigger to that extent.
Yeah, I think if there's enough story for Dexter to tell, then there will be lots of seasons. And they've set it up that there is tons of story to tell. You have a killer who's out there killing other killers. I mean, there's no shortage of weird tales to tell with that.
And the other good thing is that there's still a ton of characters that are alive in the present day Dexter world that they can bring back to some extent, depending on what they do with that. Like Batista, I know that he made an appearance in New Blood, but there was definitely a desire for a lot more there. If I'm going to sort of big picture this, I don't think Dexter's going to stay in Iron Lake where he was in New Blood. I think he's got to go somewhere else again. I don't know if we see Harrison again. I think it kind of depends on how this show really wants to handle that character. It sounds like, we could still see Deb and like those sort of visions, sort of like he had with Harry in the original. There's still a lot of potential.
Yeah, and if we do still see Deb, which makes sense because the way that he ended up getting rid of her and her body, sort of the way that he had with other people, it's like something that I think sits with him, and losing her sits with him. Like, he feels responsible for this in a lot of ways. And it makes sense that she would continue to haunt him until he can sort of make amends with that in his own mind and his own heart. And that might be never.
Yeah. And that may be why it's valuable we keep seeing her. It's like an essential function of the show. I do want Jennifer Carpenter to be involved in this to some extent. So I'm more than happy if she sticks around in this capacity.
For sure. But we're not going to be getting this for like a a full year. It's not until
Yeah.
next summer, guys. So, put your hard
Yeah.
hats on for the wait. But in the meantime, there is Dexter Original Sin that will be coming this December. We
Mhm.
will be covering that here.
I'm really surprised, I think, for starters, that we are getting Original Sin so fast because it really doesn't feel like this was announced that long ago. We just live in this era now where a lot of these other shows are taking years upon years. We have to wait for some reason every 2 years. We're getting Bridgerton, despite Bridgerton not having any like CGI battles or anything going on in there. But no, Original Sin coming this December. For those of you who have not heard that much about it, like you said earlier, Michael C. Hall will be the narrative inner voice of young Dexter, who's played by Patrick Gibson on this show. It is set in 1991 Miami. If you love the early 90s, you're gonna love the vibes here. Yeah, it's like this is
I'm vibing.
It's kind of like Yellow Jackets. We're in the Yellow Jackets era now.
Absolutely.
Okay, Christian Slater is playing Harry on this, by the way.
I love Christian Slater. Again, 90s vibes, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good.
See, my first reaction to Original Sin when it was announced, I'll be honest, I was just like, okay, come on. Like I didn't think there was a point because we already know so much about Dexter's origins already. Like we saw visions and thoughts and stories, and we saw a lot of this in the original show, but one thing that they've done is really, really smart. We're just going to get a lot of people that everybody likes, and we're going to put them on this show. You mentioned Patrick Dempsey earlier,
Yes.
Christian Slater,
Yes.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like she's
This
apparently.
cast is amazing.
Yeah, like it's a lot of just nostalgia in here. I mean, apparently Sarah Michelle Gellar is going to be Dexter's like boss when he's first coming on Miami Metro. Also, and this one may just be for us and those of you who watched The Blacklist with us, young Masuka. This is the actor who played Tadashi on The Blacklist. So there's a little bit of that in there for us as well. It's a really good cast. One of the things that I think they're going to try to do, and this is what Michael C. Hall said to Variety, is that there are some things that are coming up in this show that maybe Dexter was not privy to. So we could actually be surprised still by something.
Yeah, which would be really cool to see. I mean, yeah, we did in original Dexter get some sort of like flashbacks and tidbits and whatever, but a lot of it is stuff that he doesn't remember everything. He has said that he remembers most of it and he remembers some of it, but a lot of it is blocked out from what happened to him when he was found, sort of as he was coming to age, where he was learning that he had this dark passenger with him and, Harry teaching him the code and sort of stuff like that. But there's a lot that might come out in this that's like maybe Dexter forgot or, put in another part of his mind that he didn't want to remember and couldn't remember.
I think that could be really, really fascinating. I like with Better Call Saul. I really like prequels that can be able to give us something that still matters when it comes to the original show, and you're not destroying canon. You're actually just adding to it in some interesting ways. Granted, I'm also not going to be this person in Original Sin where if they change one thing, I'm going to become like that guy standing up meme and being like, this is not canon. I do not know. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I'll be that person.
Okay, you can be.
No. Listen, I don't like to have beef, but yeah, I do. And I will if they do something like that with Dexter. I'm very protective of Dexter. It has to make sense to what happens in the present timeline of when he is going to be coming up in Resurrection and what happened during Dexter, the original series. It all has to make sense. They can't throw something out in there where it's like, okay, that unravels Dexter forever.
Okay, I will agree with that. I don't want there to be any big changes. If there's a little change, I will get past it. But if it's a big change, yeah, I will be upset too. Okay, last thing here. This is from Molly Brown, who's playing the young version of Deb. And she said a TV line that, okay, it's really the second half of this season is when there's some really big stuff that's going to be coming. So if you are watching the early part of Dexter Original Sin being like, what is this? Is this, I know all this, just buckle up, sit tight. Apparently the big stuff is coming. You may just have to wait a little while.
I'm very interested to see. I've never seen Molly Brown in anything, so I don't know how she's going to be stepping into those shoes. Deb's shoes are big shoes.
Yeah.
Like, even as a young person, I always imagine that Deb is just like the same as a sailor, being, as she is. I just love that character. And same with Patrick Gibson. This is someone that I am not that familiar with, stepping into such an iconic character, big shoes to fill. And I think those two are really going to have to be the embodiment of these characters. Having all these other people around, Christian Slater, Patrick
Yeah.
Dempsey, whatever, that's all fun and cool and good. But if these two actors do not hold up Dexter and Deb, then this show will not hold.
That is what makes this so interesting. They have like the two relative unknown actors surrounded by all these big names, a property everybody loves. I really hope this is good. I don't want to be cynical and just be like, oh, these are all cash grabs. I want there to be a legitimate reason for it. And because Clyde Phillips and Michael C. Hall are involved, I'm holding out some hope here, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding out hope. I mean, it is for money, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, bringing him back after they're like, no, he's dead. It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
Oh, here's 2 more spinoffs. It's just, of course, it's about money, and that's fine. This is a business. TV is a business. Entertainment is a business. You need to be able to be making money. And in this new era of like streaming and stuff, people are finding it harder and harder to be able to capture somebody. There's so many streaming services, and you can't have all of them. It's way too expensive. Your bill would be like ridiculous, like air conditioning in the summer out in California. I might or might not be talking about my own bill.
I was about to say, where is this coming from?
But it's so expensive that you really have to have properties that make people shell out that money to be able to be like, okay, I'm gonna pick up Showtime or Paramount or whatever you're gonna pick up to be able to watch a program. So if you're going to bring back something, it needs to be a program that people are already invested in, and people are invested in Dexter. So are they coming back for money? Yes. I mean, like, Resurrection's not even going to be around till next summer. They might have a loose story. If Michael C. Hall's coming back for it, it's for money. I love you, Michael. I would come back for money too.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I hope that it's good. We'll see what happens with it. Of course, we will be here to break all of it down, and let us know in the comments. Are you going to watch one of these? Both of them? What are you most excited for? Also, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of this coverage we've got coming. And yeah, you can support us further by joining our Patreon for $5 a month. That goes a long way.
Yes.
And you can also vote for polls as to what we're going to be covering next. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to our patrons, and we'll see you here next time.